So garnishment manager, if you have people who outsource payroll, this is one of the things that is nice about outsourcing payroll is the management of garnishments. The people say, here's my garnishment, and ADP or somebody takes care of it. If they were doing this with ABRA, they might have had EBS Garn, which sort of did it, but that's no longer available for the SQL product, the Sage HRMS product. But what Garnishment Manager does is it enables us to easily compute the minimum disposable pay depending on the type of garnishment that it is. All right. So if I'm a student loan or a tax levy or a child support, we handle pretty much all of the garnishment garnishment types that we can possibly encounter. But we'll look at the local law, the state law that applies, and the federal law, and automatically calculate the minimum disposable pay so that we then deduct only the proper deduction. Okay, so we have programmed into Garnishment Manager all of the state and federal laws for the various types of garnishment managers or garnishments. Federal levies, federal student loans, state levies, creditor levies, child support. Now, for the most part, it's the state rules that govern, and it's not where the order was received from, but it's where the employee shows up for work. It's that state's rules that generally apply. And every state has different rules. So what we have here is we have the earning codes, or deduction codes in this case, that we find in Sage HRMS, the payroll system. And we map those to codes that we have built into the Garnishment Manager that are aware of all the state rules, right? So these are, you can think of these as like statutory definitions of various codes. So this is the one little setup piece where we map the taxes, the income, earning codes from the payroll system into our statutorily determined, because every state has different rules as what is and is not included in the various types of disposable pay. So the goal here is put this in context. We've run payroll as sort of a trial basis. There are no garnishment deductions in that pay run. If I put in my period end date and my company, I can click Calculate. And it has found 3 individuals that have garnishments. Now, in Sage HRMS, there is a work state. We will use that work state to know which rules to apply. If the work state happens to be empty, we will default back to the employee's home state, which may or may not be correct. So therefore, when that happens, we indicate that the state is in red, saying that the work location was unspecified. We're going to default to the resident state. And if that isn't correct, for example, if this were Nevada, but the person actually does show up to work in California, and I think John Wayne did work in California, then we'd want to fix that. So once I've calculated, then I can go to print. And print is going to show us all of the details for each individual employee and the various garnishments that they have. Okay, so make this a little bigger. Now, on the left-hand column, what you basically have is sort of a gross to net, but using our statutory codes as opposed to the earning deduction and tax codes found in Sage HRMS. Then we will also, and we used to sort of always do this, we calculate each of the various definitions of disposable pay. Even if this is only child support, it was just easier just to show you all the various definitions of disposable pay. On the right, we can see that this particular employee, Hugh Allen, has 2 garnishments. There's a student loan and a child support. Now we're going to list out what that support order looked like, and the numbers in parentheses are those monthly amounts that were right on that national order format. And then over here in this column, this is the actual amount that's being deducted. And we will prioritize all the various garnishments. If you had 5 child supports and 3 student loans, we will only take as much pay as is available to protect their net take-home pay. But here we can see that the deduction for the child support is totaling $346, and the other garnishment, the student loan, is $541, and we can rest assured that that net pay has been protected as far as all the state and federal rules go. And so each employee is here. I can continue on to look at the other individuals. All right. So now, if everything looks good, I will simply click Apply. What Apply does is it writes the garnishment records back to Sage HRMS, just the amount of the garnishment necessary for this specific pay run. So if I come through here and I pull up Garn and pull those up, here are my 3 individual garnishment employees. I can drill into Hugh, and I can see that I've got two garnishments. One we've just labeled garnishment. In a real world, I might have actually called that student loan, and the other is child support. So now that I have my appropriate deductions in the time card file, then I'm going to go back and I'm going to calculate payroll again. So I'll do it just the same way I did last time. Process, and I'm just going to start over. You could merge either one. So now if I go in and I look at my pre-check register for 515, go ahead and print that. Okay, so now if I can find our Mr. Allen, Hugh, next. So there's my child support deduction, and there's my garnishment deduction. And had I run this report prior to posting those time card records for the deductions and reprocessing payroll, those probably would have not even been on this register. All right. And then from there, you just pick up and continue processing payroll as you normally would.